Hello, good afternoon. I just thought I'd talk a little bit today about comparison. I when I view people comparing themselves to others or even to themselves in a past moment, or projecting, if I was this way, or if my kids were this way, or if my husband was this way, my life would be better. And all that is a mind game. All that is the brain working to keep you out of the now. Okay? So, for example, when you are comparing yourself to someone else's body, okay? When you're comparing yourself to someone else's mind, so, oh, they're smarter than I am. Or you're comparing yourself to, they have a better job than I do, or they have a better house than I do, they have a better this than I do, they are worse than I am, they are this. You are either positioning yourself as something worse, which makes you feel bad, or something more superior, which in turn makes you believe that you are better, but you are actually not. Because in the mind of God, or in the now, or in nothingness, or in the universe, or source, whatever it is you want to call it, even if you call it Bob, it doesn't matter to me. In the mind of God, it doesn't matter if you're 400 pounds or if you're 50 pounds. Because the body, the mind, your lifestyle, the experience you have on this earth is literally just for experience. It doesn't think someone who is 400 pounds is worse than someone who is 50 pounds. So if you are most of the time in your life comparing to, oh, you know what, the rain today is fabulous, it's wonderful, we needed it, the ground was dry, I love the rain today, and then it rains for a week, and a week later you're like, oh, I'm so sick of the rain, right? That's comparison, that's creating suffering. So it creates a high in the moment, the first time you liked the rain, and then after you have so much of it, oh, I want the sun, because you're comparing having a long period of rain to the joy you feel around the sun. And then when it's 95 degrees out versus when it's 75 degrees out, that you might enjoy that 95, but others might suffer and dislike that 95 compared to the 75. So it's comparing your life to what you're seeing, what society is telling you is better than. What society is telling you is the perfect body. Have you ever actually questioned and really gone and analyzed what is perfection according to what the media, according to what society says? Have you ever looked at what they say is the perfect body, the next day they change their mind, and the day after that they change their mind? And then the day after that, what they said, the person that had the perfect body has cellulite. So if you actually look and listen very deeply, what they're actually telling you to do is chase a goal that is unattainable. And therefore, the ego, the mind, will be in suffering daily. And same with comparing yourself from one moment to the next. So if you're comparing yourself from, I don't know, I was 120 pounds when I was 16 years old, and I'm 150 pounds now that I'm 50 years old. If you are comparing that, you're creating suffering. You're 50 years old. You're a different being than you were. You're also you're usually, there's change that has happened. So you're 50 years old. You're a different being. Comparison, even if you're comparing to yesterday, you're not the same physiologically. You're not the same in your biomechanics. So comparing at all is what creates suffering. When we accept ourselves in the moment, right now, and you don't look out there and you don't worry about what they think, and you don't accept what this says in regards to, oh, you look this or you look that. That's comparing. When you accept yourself as you are, because you know it does not matter what others think. Now, does that mean that you never go and work out again and you just accept that, you know what, I'm gaining 20 pounds a year? Not necessarily. If you enjoy working out, you might go work out. If you don't enjoy working out, you may not go work out. But that is up to the individual. Does that mean the one that chose because they enjoy working out is better than the person who chose not to work out? I guess that's based on your comparison and based on your judgment. Because the person who might have worked out and had a perfect body, the other person may not have worked out and chose to go to school and get their bachelor's or their PhD or whatever. So how do you compare those two? One's got a better body, one's got a better mind. Again, you're in comparison. You're creating suffering. You're slicing and you're creating paradox. So to move outside of this experience, we have to come into the now. We have to stay in the now. We have to accept all aspects of self. We have to accept all aspects of others' selves. You know, I used to be probably the most judgmental person against larger people. Because the story in the head that I was experiencing, the story the ego was telling me was they're fat and lazy. That may not be true. And who am I to judge? Because I'm comparing myself to them? Well, geez, I'm now 42 years old. I don't look the same as I did when I was 21 years old and decided to judge people based on what they looked like back then. I've had babies. I've had different life experiences. But you know what? The difference now is that I don't need to compare. I accept them for who they are because it doesn't matter what this is to me about them. It doesn't matter what the mind. It doesn't matter if they're smart. I was in the grocery store, I think it was about a week ago now, and there was a group of kids. They were probably, 22 to 20, or 20 to 25 approximately, and they had some, I would say, some mental disabilities. Some were Down syndrome, and it was visible. It was definitely visible as they were at the cashier. And a gentleman who was older, who was probably their caretaker, or helped them out, was actually, paying for the groceries. But I was watching them and watching this experience. And as I watched them, I saw how joyful they were. Their energy field was totally joyful because they don't give a crap what you think or what I think. They are in the experience of the now. And I was once told by a wonderful being that said, when you walk down the street and you see the most gorgeous person versus the person who is probably the plainest, which one do you think would be enlightened? And their answer was that often the ones that are awake or have awakened are usually the ones who don't look good, who don't wear the nicest clothes, who aren't the smartest, because they're in no competition and they're not comparing themselves to anyone, anything, or any previous experience. And they're not projecting their mind either into the future, comparing themselves right now to what they want to look like in a future moment, or who they want to be in a future moment, or what kind of money they want to be in a future moment. Because when you get to that future moment in the now, and you don't achieve what you set that goal for, that created suffering. That doesn't mean you don't go for goals. It just means you're detached to an outcome. There's no comparing. You set a goal. This is the date I'd like to get there by. If I don't, it is what it is. But there's no comparing to a past moment or future projection and attachment and need to get there. There's no, I absolutely have to get there or else. So stopping comparing. And if you watch your mind, you will be surprised how often you're comparing. So if you, I saw on this, I saw on my news feed last week about some girl who, I don't know who she was, but she lost her radio program or something and wasn't allowed in any gyms anymore because she took a picture of someone that was, I don't know if they were overweight or whatever because they had blocked it out. But, she was comparing and putting herself as I am better than. Oh my God, my eyes, I don't want to look at that. So putting herself on a pedestal to try to make her feel better. Well, it doesn't work that way in the mind. That means you have to constantly be better than everyone else to feel good about yourself. But when you accept yourself as you are, it doesn't matter what other thinks. It doesn't even matter what your own brain thinks because you're confident and love yourself as you are right now. Not tomorrow when you might become this way or I have to do this in order to like myself. No, right now. Every single aspect of you, from your crooked teeth or your straight teeth, from your fat arms or your skinny arms, from your fat stomach or your skinny stomach, from your hair to no hair, all of these, and every shade of gray in between. You accept them as it is. And then I watched as people on Facebook then went and talked about how horrible she was, comparing themselves as a better person than she is. How awful of her, again, and what does that do? That puts them on a pedestal in order to put someone else down. It's comparing. How can I feel better? How can I feel better? How can I be better? How can I be better? That creates suffering. When you accept where you're at right now, in the now, as you look, who you are right now, suffering subsides. And presence becomes your experience. And you love yourself as you are, and you love all other people in your life as they are. I wish you well. Have a great day. Contemplate that. If you get a moment, contemplate where in your life are you comparing? Where in your life are you creating your own suffering? Have a good day. Bye.